Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Partnership Guys podcast. This is season 2, episode 15. I'm Todd Leonardis. I'm flanked by Steven Schneider and Rob Stoker. We are the Partnership Guys, and we are the experts on all things partnership, whether it be building them, fixing them, exiting them, or just flat out ending them. If you need that help, we're here to help you. Today, we got on this call, wanted to really talk about not necessarily the partner you want, right? A lot of people focus on finding the right partner, but it's more about how to be the partner that people actually want to work with. All right. A little bit different, flipping it. It's easy to, set your sights on somebody and want to go after them, but do they want to go after you, right? It's about how to make yourself an attractive partner. And that's just a mindset shift. We've talked about it before as far as like servant partnerships go, and this kind of ties into that. So like I said, most entrepreneurs do focus on finding the right partner, but very few focus on becoming the right partner, if that makes sense to you guys. Because as I see it, great partnerships really do start with self-awareness, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what you want to do, and knowing, more importantly, what you don't want to do. It also how to understand, how your personality does affect the business. So you can, sometimes they're pretty easy shifts to modify. Sometimes they're not. They're just core to you, and you just have to find somebody that's okay working, with that. Me being the perfect partner, I mean, it was very easy for Steven and Rob to want to work with me. I have no personality flaws at all, and it's
This
always
is your wheelhouse, huh? Right?
yeah, humility, abound.
Yeah. Thank you
But
for taking my
truthfully, like
flaws up on me.
ego, but truly, ego, obviously we're joking here, but ego, defensiveness, and impatience and frustration, that can all impact that trust building. So
That's really what becoming a good partner is about, is being trustworthy. Right? So you want to do things that allow your partner to trust you more. It's doing things like doing the things that you say you're going to do. I mean, how many times have we worked with somebody and they say they're going to do something and it's a week later and you're like, what's going on? You start to lose trust in those kinds of situations. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. You want to make sure that you follow through on the things that you're going to do, because you are in a partnership. It's really important that you make sure that you give your 60%, right? We've talked about 60-40 before. I mean, it's really all about building that trust and being consistent with showing up and doing the work that you say you're going to do. And sometimes those are really small things. It doesn't have to be like a huge, big project or closing a big sale. It can be that if you've got a meeting at 8:30 in the morning, you don't show up at 8:35, show up at 8:25, because, that builds trust in a relationships, and that builds trust in a partnership.
Yeah, I think there's so much to the respecting what the other person is doing and allowing the other person to do what they do best. And that comes with understanding where your gaps are, where you're not so great in certain things, and letting go of those things, and just supporting your partner and the great partnerships that I've had, that it's there to the nth degree. As my example in the making the lacrosse headgear, I'm the one that's yelling and screaming and trying to get a Band-Aid. And, my business partner, Sean Springs, is the one who is the technology person. He knows the ins and outs of the headgear and, all kinds of scientific stuff. And I just let him do all that. And then he lets me yell and scream that all these girls should be wearing headgear, and makes us on the same page. And he appreciates what I'm doing with it. I certainly appreciate what he's doing with it. And it's amazing. And then in the one bad partnership, that I had, it was the opposite. We didn't like each other. We didn't respect each other. We didn't trust each other. As an example, one of the things that the three of us here have talked about is we want to have fun. We want to impact lives in a positive way, and we want to enjoy what we're doing. We want to have a sense of humor with it. I know you guys love my sense of humor, which is great, and
Phenomenal.
I understand why you do.
Somebody has to, man.
You totally missed your calling.
In that, in that bad business partner, he hated my sense of humor. I mean, he just did not like any kind of jokes, any kind of fun. This was not a joking matter, and it's because business is like this. You're going to get frustrated. There's going to be downs. How do you handle that? And what sometimes feels good for some people is blaming the other person. Is, yeah, well, wouldn't happen if you didn't do this or whatever it is. But to take an inward approach and say, no, I take full responsibility for that. That's what I have in the great partnerships I had. The bad partnership was that it's all your fault. And as much as he was doing it to me, guess what? I would turn around and give it back to him, and give it to him with some humor thrown in there too.
And I'm sure, this came from you. A quote that I remember is, "You can't become a great partner if you think you're never the problem." And it's really, you need that self-awareness, because, the quality of your partnership does start with the quality of your own self-awareness, right? You got to know who you are, your id, your ego, all that. You really kind of need to know, and you got to be honest. And not everybody likes to think about themselves that way. It's been absolutely enlightening for me to really kind of dig deep into behavior personalities of my own. And, I just have a much better understanding as when I'm doing it all wrong, because I'm like, oh yeah, back up, Todd. Like, this is not the way it needs to be done. But it's that self-awareness that allowed me, I think, to really make some significant changes in how I approach people. I mean, all that's still here, but knowing that and how I can approach people and communicate and support, it has been key to my success, in my opinion.
And that self-awareness really kind of shows up in how you feel about situations or interactions after they happen. So if you walk away from a situation or a conversation with your partner and it feels like it was all drama, right? And Rob, I'm assuming that when you had conversations with your solar partner, it was dramatic, right? Everything was drama. There was no fun. You were not collaborating or trying to solve problems. You were just trying to figure out how to get one up on the other person. And if you find that, you're coming out of situations feeling like it was all about drama, then you're a problem, right? You've got to fix what you're doing. And you start to do that by communicating more clearly. You start to work at solving problems, right? You start to think about, okay, how do I take difficult situations and work together to fix those things and stabilize those situations? If you find yourself trying to knock somebody down instead of lifting them up, you're not being a good partner. That's not where strong partnerships live. That's where failing partnerships live.
Yeah, strong partnerships really are there to reduce the friction, they not create it.
Yep. No, and great partners are coachable, open to feedback, willing to admit mistakes. There's almost something that feels really good about admitting your mistakes, to say, hey guys, I messed up. This is what happens. It's such a better feeling than it is hiding it, covering it up, or coming back with what your mistakes were. That's a horrible feeling. It's just a terrible
just
feeling.
Letting go of the shame, right? I mean, I don't know, like before I would do that, kind of admit my own mistakes or be vulnerable, I just kind of hold on to the shame. And then that shame can turn into resentment. And it's just a downward spiral there. So that's great.
And it's ultimately about ego, right? You're trying to protect your own self-worth or whatever you believe that you are. And all that does is get in the way of building a relationship and building a partnership. I mean, you've got to let go of ego. Like you said, Rob, you got to be able to, be open to feedback, positive and negative. I had a situation, it wasn't a business partner, it was somebody that worked for me yesterday where I was asking them to do something and they came back and said, I need more information because we've gone down this road before and I didn't have all the information I needed in order to be able to solve this problem. I need you to give me more. And he was a little aggressive about it, but you know what? I looked at that and I said, okay, I didn't know you needed all that. So, here's what you need, go out and go do it. And so it's being open to that feedback, even if it comes at you a little heavy, just recognizing that it's not attacking me. It's trying to give the other person whatever they need in order to be successful.
Yeah. For me, in that one bad partnership, I was the one I was very involved in my community, Homedale, New Jersey. I was the one who had the relationships with people, really people trusted, respected. I would talk to somebody about putting solar on their house for 30 seconds. Would just pull up their house, see that it was good for solar, and they would say, "Let's do it. Let's do it." That's the end of it. But with my neighbors, sometimes we would go into those same people's houses, and he wasn't the people person. He was technical, and he would start talking technically, and I could tell it made people say, "Well, wait a minute, what are you doing here? What, and it just wasn't the right fit in so many ways. And guess what? Those people started to see at least the tension in the business. The business started to suffer because our partnership suffered. And the two of us were not on the same page with how we were doing things and the strengths and weaknesses that we both had. When somebody would ask a technical question about the engineering in the system, I would never answer. I would wait for him to answer. But there were other questions that clearly I should have answered, clearly should have come to me, that he would answer. And it created a lot of friction. It really did in a lot of different ways. And then the second part of it, the things that we were each doing, he started to overvalue to me what he was doing, completely undervalue what I was doing. And guess what? I did the same thing right back to him. I could find somebody to do what you're doing very easily. And
defensiveness, defensiveness really does block growth. It really does. I mean, because once that wall goes up and you realize you guys are both playing on a different side of that wall, it's really, it really stifles what you're all there for initially anyway.
And we learned that on real early in our partnership. We need to be coachable. We realized that we did not have the business in the early days structured in a way that was best for the business to grow. And so we moved some things around. We changed our roles, and I needed help in certain areas that Todd had more expertise with, and vice versa. But we were open to being coachable. And that's a really underrated trait. Most entrepreneurs think that they know everything. And so they don't ask for help when they need it, and they don't accept it when it comes their way sometimes. But being coachable is critical to again, building trust, and to making sure that you're doing everything you can in order to support the partnership and to support the business.
Yeah, that's what you thrive when you have that. The three of us yesterday sat for 4 hours together, and we were able to accomplish so much because there's no finger pointing. It's just, hey, I'm taking care of this client. What do you think of this? And it's just getting through and supporting each other in whatever it is we're doing. I'm talking to this person, and this is kind of what they're going through, and what do you think, and how do you think we should best handle it? And it's all an openness to realizing I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, to have sounding boards and say, hey, I think I might be messing up a little bit on this one. And, no, you're not messing up on that. It's just maybe you want to kind of go in this direction with it. It's, that's a healthy partnership instead of bad partnership is all like, well, just questioning the other one. As opposed to all we accomplish together in 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever the three of us sit together. My neighbor and I could have spent a week together, 40 hours, 50 hours. In the end, I would have said, I don't know what we did. I think we went backwards. I really think we went backwards. We argued a lot. We just can't move forward, and we can't move forward with each other, and we can't move forward with the business when we're talking like that for just a complete waste of time. Just, energy, time, stress. It's the business is already, we all know it, it's already ups, downs, ebbs, flows. And what I love, and my great partnerships, the three of us, is we just deal with it, and we deal with it together. And that's the beauty of partnerships, is having somebody else on the inside that understands what you're going through, what your challenges are, what you're looking at, what you're talking about, what you're feeling. I always said, I don't know how people do it alone. And then talk to, I guess, people who aren't on the inside of it, don't understand what they're talking about exactly and what they're going through. And to have great partners, to me, there's nothing like it.
And all that what you're talking about goes right back to what Todd started with, was that self-awareness. Right? It's being aware of whether or not you are being the right partner, and not asking the question of, are you the right partner for me? Right? It's being aware of what your strengths are, what things you're bringing to the table, so that you can be the best partner that you can be, and model that behavior so that your partner will be the best partner that they can be.
Absolutely. I was the wrong partner for my neighbor, and he was the wrong partner for me, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, we found that the best partnerships happen when two people are committed to improving themselves, not just the other person. Right. You got to be looking inward. And to that point, like, yesterday we're sitting around, we're really, grinding yesterday. And I don't think there was one conversation that didn't end with, how can I help you succeed? What do you need from me? What do you need from us? And just having that support there is amazing, phenomenal. And it's
all the difference
key.
in the world. Yep.
Really does.
And the beauty of partnerships, the true beauty of great partnerships. Yeah.
Totally.
I don't know how, sitting in that room by myself yesterday, there's no way I would have accomplished all that. First of all,
it wouldn't have been fun. I mean, we had fun yesterday. We were working our asses off, but we had fun.
Yeah.
It's
impacting lives for sure. It's a big part of the fun is we know we're impacting lives. We know we're taking partnerships from either bad to out to, like you said, Todd, or from good to great, or from startup to progressing through and figuring things out as you go, which is what you have to do, and having the constant conversations. We're doing good here, and we're doing it together, and it feels really good.
All right, guys, this was an awesome conversation yet again. Just want to thank everybody for showing up. This is the Partnership Guys podcast, Todd Leonardis with Steven Schneider and Rob Stolker. We are here, like I said earlier, to help you with all your partnership needs, whether it be to build it, fix it, exit it, end it. We do it all. We've seen it all. Try to catch us at one of our speaking engagements or on, when we're guesting on a podcast. Just put us in your feed, and you can catch us at, this podcast on YouTube. You can catch it on Spotify, Apple Music. You can read some of our writings in, Substack and Medium. I mean, wherever you think you need us. But best place to find us is, and all that information is at thepartnershipguys.com. That'll link you to all of our social. And we really appreciate everybody spending some time and listening to us talk about something that we're extremely passionate about. Thank you.
Yes, guys. Great talk. Thanks, everybody.